Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Midas Letter RAW. We are here at the Exchange Tower in downtown Toronto, and I'm here with none other than Ed Milewski. Welcome, Ed.
Mark, how you doing?
Great. It's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
Good to be here.
Did you notice how humid the weather was on the weekend?
Man, I was sweating buckets.
That's the same weather system that was down in Texas.
Okay.
A few days ago, and dumped in one part of Texas. It dumped a meter of rain. A meter. Duh. Like a meter. That's over 3 feet.
Wish they would have kept that humidity.
Anyway, that system moved the way up, and then it dumped about 1/10 of a meter on Winnipeg. And they've had some issues, and now it's moving this way. But yeah, it was very like middle of summer, like, wasn't it?
How'd you deal with the heat?
You know what? Drank a lot of water, drank a lot of beer. I don't know. That's dealing with the heat. You know, walked around with not much clothing on.
Good enough. Good enough.
Anyway.
So do we got a good show? What do you think?
Yeah, well, you know, only time will tell, but yeah, we're going to cover a lot. Gold's been active again. Gold's
been very active.
The last 3 days, ever since the Fed made their decision, it's been, you know.
Halo's up big?
Halo had a funny, a kind of a doji candle 3 or 4 days ago, and it's big volume. You know, we saw 4 million shares trade that day. There you go. Halo, a few gold stocks. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we've got, let's take a look at what's on the show today.
Okay.
Why don't we pull that up? We've got Laura McCallum giving us the news shortly. Bhang, we had a conversation with Scott, and C21 Investments. Sonny, I had a conversation with him a little earlier.
Right. Now, is Sonny new to the organization?
I think June, July.
Okay, so relatively new.
He hasn't been on the show today, but lots to say there. Interesting stock to watch. I think they had a Maribozu candle. Maribozu candle?
Bozo candle. Maybe it's just the Bozo candle. Yeah. Bozo the clown. Bozo. No, is that right? Well, gold did. Yeah. A couple days ago. We talked about that, and you were saying, I never even knew that candle existed. Thanks for edifying me.
Yeah, I'll try to pronounce it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Maribozu. Is that like Mayor Bozo? Anyway, enough.
So, do you want to look at a chart, or should we take a look at the news?
Well, I want to look at the interest rate chart, because I'm starting to get a sense, like, you know, gold's been moving up.
Okay.
Interest rates moving down. That makes sense, right? That's what's been happening. So let's take a look at the 10-year chart here, which is right there. So it'll be up, and we're going to put up a 3-month chart, and then we're going to double click, and so yeah, we've since we've peaked here. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days ago. Short-term rates got to quite a bit higher from here, so rates were going up. Mm-hmm. Now they're backing off. So now we've come back quite a bit, although we're trying to rally a little bit here. So as rates go down, it looks like, you know, we've seen a few days here of gold going up. The trick is that look, if rates continue to start to move higher, though, that's going to be problematic for a lot of people, because it does appear now some numbers came out of Germany, manufacturing numbers, not good. So Germany's the engine of Europe. If that starts to sputter and run out of gas, so
the numbers look really bad.
Well, they just came out with some manufacturing numbers, and yeah, this is the worst it's been in a while. Yeah,
You don't say.
I don't say.
Well, why don't we go to the news?
Let's do the news.
Here's what's making cannabis news this Monday, September 23rd, 2019. Gabby Inc. announced its subsidiary Sonoma Pacific Distribution has added new third-party brand partners, Big Sur Extracts, Medicine Box, and Hot Knife at Hall of Flowers. Hall of Flowers is a licensed industry-only B2B trade show specifically designed to facilitate the trade of premium licensed cannabis products across flower, concentrate, edible, topical, and accessory categories. Gabby currently sells into 205 dispensaries, up from 85 at the beginning of 2019. Mojave Jain is making the second tranche investment in 2083 Group, the owner of Speedweed. The tranche of $500,000 will increase the company's ownership interest in 2083 Group to just under 25%, on the way to an ultimate 40% ownership position. The capital injection into 2083 will be used to expand Speedweed's existing Southern Californian market reach and fund 2083's expansion initiatives related to its cannabis marketing, media, and celebrity endorsement business. Nextleaf Solutions has entered into an agreement to acquire intellectual property pertaining to water-soluble cannabinoid formulations. Based around a nano and micro emulsification process, the technology utilizes food-grade emulsifiers already approved by Health Canada. Under the agreement, Oils will acquire the processing methodology and ingredient formulation from a private company. Slang Worldwide announced that in connection with last week's investment in the company by Bruce Linton, each of the directors and senior officers of Slang entered into a lockup agreement with Bruce Linton. The locked-up holders currently hold an aggregate of approximately 53 million common shares of Slang on a fully diluted basis. The lockup agreements stipulate that the locked-up holders will not sell, transfer, pledge, or otherwise dispose of any Slang securities prior to September 16, 2020. Zenabis Global announced the licensing of Phase 2C, Part 2 of Zenabis Ethalbul for the additional 3,000 kilograms of licensed annual cultivation capacity. The amendment received September 20, 2019 adds 3,000 kilograms of licensed annual cultivation capacity at Zenabis Ethalbul. The amendment increases Zenabis's total license and annual cultivation capacity from 54,000 kilograms to 57,000 kilograms of dried cannabis, and Zenabis Ethalbul licensed annual cultivation capacity from 43,300 kilograms to 46,300 kilograms of dried cannabis. GW Pharmaceuticals announced that the European Commission has approved the marketing authorization for Epidiolex for the use of adjunction therapy of seizures. The approval paves the way for the launch of the medicine across Europe. Harvest Health and Recreation announced the opening of its 11th Harvest-affiliated dispensary in Arizona. Harvest is dedicated to driving better patient access in its flagship state of Arizona. And that's your news for today. To keep up to date with all things cannabis, visit the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
Okay, so lots happening.
Lots going on. Now you said earlier that we just had a record month for revenue sales.
It's the biggest month in Canada for marijuana sales.
Since it's been legal. Since we've been legal, right?
It was July, I believe.
Yeah, so
100 million.
Yeah. Now we don't know what extent, how much of that would have gone into the black market had it wasn't legal.
Right.
But nonetheless, we can
I'm
now.
assuming all of it would have gone into the, if it wasn't legal.
No, but for instance, it could be, now that it's legal, people do it because it's legal.
Right. It's opened up the market.
Yeah, and that would be good to know if how many, new.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I'm just saying.
Makes sense.
But I also want to point out, if we did 100 and some million for the month, somebody on our competitors, main channel BNN said that, and not, this is supposedly pretty accurate stuff, but that the four main companies like Canopy, Afria, Aurora, and Kronos, those are some of the four biggest ones, lost a combined $11 billion of value.
Wow.
Over the last short period, because that market has been under a lot of pressure, negative pressure. So you say, well, if they lost 11 billion of market value, and we've only did 100 million in revenue,
right?
those two numbers are totally uncomparable. And maybe we're now going to a number where we can relate to what the revenues are. In other words, we're matching up valuations with fundamentals.
Getting a more realistic expectation.
Yeah, because initially nobody knows what the value, right?
Yeah.
Like now you're getting some idea. Anyway, thought I'd just bring that up.
What do you want to look at?
Well, you know what? I want to talk about gold, because we just talked about how interest rates have retreated here in the last couple of weeks. So I've got a chart here of gold, the gold ETF, which is a tenth of an ounce, and this is a 3-month chart. Okay, and just want to point out a couple things. We've had a tough ride in bullion here, going back to here. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red candles out of 11 in that period there. So we were certainly oversold.
Right.
And even though we had red candles, we really weren't getting hammered. We were sort of drifting sideways. And sure enough, we've had two big up days now in gold. And yeah, I think there's a sort of a line there, and we've gone through it to the upside. So I'd say right now, gold seems to be an upward trend as rates are backing off, and as long as rates are backing off, I think, but it can change on a dime. It can change on a dime. But let's take a look at a couple stocks that we've had mentioned on the show in this area. One is
who would you like to look at first?
Galani Gold.
Galani Gold?
Yeah, Galani.
You know, we didn't talk about it too much last week, but we achieved our 20,000 subscribers.
Yeah, no, you know what? You were talking
great.
about it,
I was talking about it.
Never happened.
Never happened. We're at 20,200 now.
What?
Yeah.
Well, let's go for 30,000. Start the countdown.
Let's do it. So for those of you who have been following the show, we do have a live chat. It's available if you go to midasletter.com. The show is live right now. Every day from 3 to 4, there's a great group of people. I'm looking at the chat room right now. Got Mary Kemp's here, Reefer Aljoint, many of our regulars. So you can ask questions in there. If there's a stock you'd like to look at that Ed can pull up if we have time, please feel free to leave a message in there and we'll see if we can get to it. Sound good?
Perfect.
Okay.
So I got Galani Gold on. Okay, Galani, we've had the chairman on a few times. I believe he's the chairman and CEO, Ravi Sood. Look at this. Look at this move here. This is from 5.5 cents. Sorry. Here we are, 5.5, 6. And look at this move. We moved up here on big volume, and then we sort of moved sideways, digesting. And then Friday, look at this move. Wait, so we've gone from 5.5 cents. We're currently at 12.5, and look at the volume here. So we're getting volume. We're getting breakout moves, and they're a producer. And I know there's some concerns about they probably under a lot of stress, like all these companies were over the last couple of years. But looks like they're coming out of a darker period into the light, the shining light generated by the glitter of gold. And gold, because they're a producer, they're going to start generating significant quarterly cash flow on top of what and that money can be used for a lot of things. Cleaning up their balance sheet, doing some exploration. So I just quickly want to just show one more chart here to illustrate how powerful.
Look at those big green candles.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice to see.
Yeah, the only thing better than big green candles would be big green apples. Anyway,
Big green apple.
look at this. So here's I didn't do that right, did I? Yeah, just a minute. This is one of the most powerful things you can look for when you got something like that.
Who do you have up there now, Ed?
That's a longer term chart of
Okay.
Galani. But look at this. You got a pattern here, and all you got to say to yourself is, when that pattern breaks on volume, buy it. And that's exactly what happened here a few days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. And look at this. But this is what you want. So you're not seeing this now, that you saw this kind of a breakout move on a pattern 3-4 years ago on marijuana stocks.
Right.
I'm not saying that this is going to be the same thing, but I'm saying there's other things out there that are acting well.
If you were a betting man, it looks pretty good, right?
Well, look, if gold continues to go, they're going to generate a lot more cash flow. And if they generate a lot of more cash flow, they can clean up their balance sheet, do some more. They can grow.
Right.
Without dilution.
Well, Galani looks good. Who else do you want to look at?
Well, there's another company that we've had the gentleman on. We've had the GEO of Amex Gold, and we're going to try and get him on later in the week. But we want to look at that chart. Just a second here while I put that up. Amex expiration, and this was 19 cents when I heard about it in January, February. So we're 7, 8, 9 months away. Look at this. This is when I bumped into some people in a restaurant.
You're always bumping into people in restaurants.
Yeah, well, because they serve alcohol. That's what they.
That's the truth.
Come on, please do this. Do something here for me. No, ain't gonna do
The
it.
pen not working?
There you go. See, it's working. So look. So here, something happened. It's a discovery. It looks like people are believing it. We've had a run up here. You know, obviously got way ahead of itself from, 10, 15, 12 cents to $1.35, $1.50. Big correction. And all along, they've raised money. They got Eric Sprotz now, a big shareholder. Eric Sprotz, Mr. Gold. And
Mr. Gold.
Yeah, he's Mr. Gold. This company keeps finding gold, and in the last hole, and there's people that don't necessarily believe it. They say the grade's not there. But that's what happens in the early stages, right? There's a battle between the yays and the nays. Stock's back to $1.25, so it's only a quarter off this high here. They got two, and they keep drilling more and more, and the area that they're finding gold in is expanding. The last results a couple days ago were, like almost, I think somewhere around half an ounce over 12 meters. Very, very decent grade. And not that deep. Here's one to watch. So this thing is now looking like heading north, especially as gold moves up. The appetite for a bigger company to take this out is I think it's going to happen. Hey,
makes sense.
I'm not telling it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just saying everything looks positive. Okay.
Okay. Amex, one to watch.
Well, I think so, and we're going to try and have on the Geo, who we've had on before.
Yeah.
Kelly Malcolm, smart guy, young guy. There's a lot of people following this. Anyway.
Okay.
So there's a couple things to look at.
Anyone else you want to look at?
I do. Do we want to do? We want to go to first interview here, or what do you want?
Well, let's do one more, and then we'll.
Right. Well, let's look at.
Then we'll look at.
Let's look at the one that's sort of really caught everybody's imagination. Kirkland Lake.
Kirkland Lake.
Yeah, and that is, that's the one where I think Eric Sprotz been an insider.
Mr. Gold.
Mr. Gold, and let's just take a look. So we've got okay, just a minute. This is a 2-year chart, but this is clearly in a great upward channel, right? Not necessarily 45 degrees across there, but certainly in an up move.
Headed in the right direction.
And it's right in here, close to the all-time highs. There's nothing to suggest this is going to change if bullion goes higher. So this is a much bigger company. Valuation is offhand. I'm gonna guess it's around $10 billion company.
Okay.
So it's a big one, not like the other ones.
Big boy, big fish.
Let the big dog eat, as they say on the first hole.
Okay.
I mean, as in golf, right?
Why don't we cut to that interview?
Okay.
Maybe we should tell you who's in the interview. Mr. Scott Van Rixel from Bhang. You know much about Bhang?
No, BHANG.
BHANG. Yeah, they're doing some interesting stuff. James had a conversation with him just on, Scott Van Rixel from Bhang. Let's hear it.
Scott Van Rixel joins me now. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Bhang Inc., CSE traded under the symbol BHNG. Scott, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Scott, quickly, what is the business model of Bhang?
Well, first it's to promote the quality of cannabis and hemp in the marketplace, but we have three separate silos. One is our oldest silo, which is our, let's say, functional THC silo. We've operated through licensing agreements where we license our branding, our copyrights, trademarks to manufacturers in each individual state, and then they pay Bhang a royalty for the right to do that. So that's our first silo. Second silo is our hemp and terpene products. Those Bhang either manufactures or has manufactured for itself, and then distributes that through online distributors and retail outlets. Last is the brokerage. Because of our position and our history in the hemp and CBD space, we have created enough relationships that we're able to have a conduit of CBD isolate, full spectrum, broad spectrum products that we buy and then in turn sell. And that does two things. It lets us keep good relationships with those farmers, those manufacturers, but it also lets us buy in a larger volume than we would necessarily need for our own goods, and provide those products into the marketplace at a margin, and while still maintaining that, again, relationship with those distributors or manufacturers.
Right. Okay. So, how does where does the bulk of your revenue come from?
In the past, I would say the bulk had come from our licensing model, because that was our principal revenue source. Now, as we move forward, it transitions away from that into the direct sales of CBD and hemp products and terpene products, as well as the brokerage itself is supportive of that.
Okay. Interesting. So how have you found it? I mean, you're relatively recent to the market, and is it your sort of experience that the market is still very receptive to new stories in the cannabis space?
I think when you say news stories, I think there's lots of companies, obviously you can look at the amount of listings that have occurred over the last 24 months and it's exhaustive. What sets Bhang apart is our model really always has been and will continue to be focused on brand. And I think that there's very few companies that have come into the marketplace that their value as a company and their value proposition to shareholders is brand focused. That's something that we have never wavered from. It's something that we've always had as our focus of the company, focus of our products, and what our long-term goal was to have our brand be the most recognized brand in cannabis, which ultimately equates into a value for shareholders as the next round of those large-scale investors and acquisition parties come to the table. They're going to be looking for who's the dominant brand that we can bring under our portfolio and move forward with, and that's always been our focus.
Sure. Okay. That's probably, one of the things that I hear more often than anything else is that, we're a consumer packaged goods company focused on the quality of our brands, and we are going to dominate. And one of the things as a market participant who's in the market, it's like I can't really get a handle on who's winning this race. So how do I know which brands are the most popular? Where do I get that information?
There's a lot of good, I think BDS Analytics is a good source, but one of the telltale signs of Bhang's success in the marketplace is you'd be hard-pressed to go anywhere on this planet and find someone that's knowledgeable about cannabis and ask them, do you know about Bhang chocolate, or have you ever heard of Bhang chocolate, and then not say yes. And that has been our cornerstone of success is brand recognition And that's something I think we've accomplished very, very well. We're one of the winningest, if not the winningest, cannabis consumer packaged goods winners, from whether it's the High Times, the Emerald Cup. I mean, there's a lot of events, but Bhang has continued and will continue to dominate that. And that's a judgment of our peers, which is a good indication of our success. And then the last part that I think is the most important is you take a company like Indiva, Origin House, which was formerly Canna Royalty, True Leaf in Florida. Those are successful cannabis companies in their own right, and they don't necessarily need a brand like Bhang to do well in the marketplace, but they sought us out. They chose us to bring us into their portfolio of branded products that they manufacture. And that's, I think, probably the greatest reflection of our success in the marketplace is a company like True Leaf or Origin House, who is very capable of building a brand on their own and being successful with it. They instead chose to be a licensee of Bhang's because they felt that we dominated in that product category unlike any other product in that category. And that's, I believe, the greatest reflection of our success is our successful peers want to be part of the Bhang story and a licensee of Bhang's.
Right. Okay. So interesting. So you can make anybody's product, any grower's product, into Bhang products as a licensee, and that's the model?
There's confines within that. I mean, obviously, to maintain quality, we certainly discourage all of our licensees from using skunk strains or diesel strains because it's just an off-putting flavor in a chocolate bar. But the formula that I developed really is a universally blendable flavor profile, sans the really strong petrol or really strong skunk smells, which those are things you want to eat anyway. But having that ability to take the brand and make those small tweaks within the formula, depending on what that particular grower is growing. And in many cases, if the states aren't vertically integrated, that manufacturer is buying product off the market that meets our quality specifications and having it converted into oil, and then that oil finding its way into the chocolate, again, by our SOPs. And that's how we maintain the consistency and the quality. Sure.
Do you feel at all concerned about the eventual federal deprohibition and legalization of cannabis in the U.S., opening the door for major confectioners brands like Hershey and Nestle to come in and sort of run rampant in your marketplace and potentially dislodge some of your market share?
I think history shows us that those companies very rarely take their successful product lines and change them. If you take Hershey and say, okay, are they going to do a Hershey Green? I find that unlikely based on the fact that they've got all these other developed brands under Hershey's. I mean, their Hershey bar is their mainstay chocolate bar, but all of their other confections are Hershey Little Name and I know Kit Kat is Mars, but there's different product lines. So what I see them doing is saying, who's the dominant brand in the marketplace for the product category that we would like to move forward with, and let's acquire that brand. I mean, look at Coca-Cola with vitamin water. Coca-Cola certainly has the means, the know-how, and the expertise to develop a vitamin water or Gatorade replacement. But that's not what they chose to do. They looked at who was successful in the marketplace and acquired it, which is I've said from the beginning, I think every single interview, I will keep repeating it because it's the absolute truth. There's two outcomes for cannabis companies. You're either going to get bought or bullied. And no cannabis company is going to get big enough to make a play on Coca-Cola or Miller or Hershey or any of these titans of industry. So what a sensible cannabis company is going to do is develop products and develop brands that are going to be optimal targets for those gorillas to buy. And that's what Bhang's focus is. We have 16 plus brands in a myriad of different categories, and each of those has been developed to have a relationship with a particular consumer type. And when Hershey shows up, I mean, chocolate's probably an anomaly for us because that was our cornerstone product. But if Hershey was going to get in the cannabis space, I really don't see them doing a Hershey Green. Maybe, not likely. What I more likely see them doing is saying, let's bring a brand into our portfolio, into our manufacturing process that's already established, is already well recognized, and is considered to be the premier product in the marketplace, and that would be Bhang.
Wow. All right, Scott, that's a great introductory conversation with you. I've not tried Bhang chocolate, but I'm certainly going to hunt it out the next time I'm in the States.
Right.
Thanks very much for joining us. We'll come back to you soon.
I had to throw my little cup pitch in there.
All right. We'll see.
Always got to be marketing. And I appreciate what you do. I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to speaking to you and your listeners again. Thank you for your time.
Sounds great. Thanks, Scott. Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents.
And I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really...
Recreational cannabis is here. It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
So Bhang's been public since July, and they've got about 100 products.
Yeah, so is that how do you manage 100 products?
Good team.
And they're covering the full gamut of
seems like all kinds of
flour,
different...
I don't even know the terms.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
They've got vape products. They've got... It seems like you name it, Bhang makes it.
Yeah, this guy seems to be really focused. Like he just has that sort of he knows, like he wants to keep working, get the job done, and build this.
Well, I think in the U.S. especially...
I have a chart up too, by the way, if you guys want to...
Okay, let's pull up the chart.
Take a look at the chart. But maybe the guy looking up the chart, maybe he's walking around, I don't know.
You ever tried that chocolate? Maybe not...
I've tried chocolate before.
You tried chocolate before? Don't have any allergies?
You know what, I'm pretty lucky. When it comes to... I got my own problems, but they don't seem to be with allergies.
Well, I love chocolate, and I'd love to try this Bhang stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bhang. Sounds very final. Bhang. Anyway, I'll just say this. We got a nice base building here. We got a nice base building. It hasn't been determined which way it's going to go. The company keeps doing the right things and showing, progress on a quarterly basis.
Right.
I got to believe there's going to be a turn up here. So that's all I can say. It's, relatively today quiet, down a penny, but yeah.
It is.
It's a tough marijuana, tough sector right now. A lot of bloodletting.
Do you think there's any advantages to starting now versus being part of that initial trend, or?
Well, if you start now and you've got some momentum. Like if you can show the world that you're building a business,
right?
Yeah. I think there is an advantage now because the public will get a much better entry point when you're getting into a new industry where there's sort of a bubble. You're paying extra. You're paying for the hot air, so to speak.
Paying for hot air.
Hey, yeah.
Let's take a look at the Midas Letter indices.
All right.
So I've got them up here.
I've got them up too, and
okay, I'm going to open this. Let's look at the large cap to start. How's that?
Okay, just Midas Letter. Yeah, I think we should spend a few minutes here and go over some go over some of these companies.
Organigram, OGI, 1.65%.
Okay, here we are. Just one sec, go to index page. Okay, I want to see what we got here.
See that? We've got...
Okay, so weed's down 7 cents. We're going down the list. There's small moves for the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to say the index has probably not moved much at all today, because just by looking at the components, they've hardly moved. You know, the biggest movers move 50 cents. Green Thumb Industries has moved 50 cents to the downside. Index is up slightly, 0.3%. I'm going to look at some of the bigger ones lately, but it looks like an anemic day for the big ones.
Yeah. So what are you going to pull up now?
Well, let's let's look at, you know what? Let's look at. I'm going to go right to
Small cap?
No, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a couple of the components after we do the index. So we're going to do that right now, okay? So let's take a look at, this is the biggest negative performer today. Let's just take a look how that chart looking, GTII. And this looks like a 6-month, 8-month, looks like a 1-year chart, okay? So I'll just do a screenshot here, try to critique this a bit. Look at, again, nice move here. It's been a bit of a long, arduous drop here, down to, you know, $11. Now we're back to 13-ish. Looks like it's trying to roll over. It's been a tough sector. And as I said earlier, the one of the commentators on the competition channel said that the 4 big ones shedded 10 or $11 billion of value in the last month or two.
How is that even possible?
Well, because the values of these companies, like the valuation of I think Cannabis down 40% in that period, weed. So if it's down 40%, it was valued at 15, let's say it was valued at 15 billion, and it's now worth 10 billion. There's 5 billion gone right there. Let's look at weed.
Just up in smoke.
Up in smoke is right. Cheech and Chong, right?
You like that show? Or the movie?
Yeah.
Movies?
Yeah. Why would, you know, old Cheech and Chong.
Classic Cheech and Chong.
So I got, here we go.
So Halo's at the top left there in that.
Halo's.
Good day for Halo. Okay, you got.
Yeah, look at this. So since July, look at 3 months. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Just bear me a second here. So yeah, a lot of value been shed in the big. So.
What do you have up there, Ed?
Yeah, always good to remind the viewers. This is a 3-month chart. So we're going back to August, July, the end of June.
Okay, so this is Canopy on the board there.
Just look at up at here, it's in the $50 level. So 3 months ago, we're talking $51.
Right.
So it's now 33. So 51, 17 times 2 is 34. So we're about 2/3 the value of what we were 3 months ago. So whatever that value was then, you knock off 1/3 in 3 months. The performance of these big ones is telling us, hey, we're only doing 100 million a year revenue in the country. So I'd like it to look better, but it looks somewhat anemic. We've had a good rolling rally here. I'd like to see this. Is this a sign of times to come, or more people gonna every day
start smoking, and is Canada just gonna be full of people that are high all the time? Like, how big is the industry?
Yeah, that's why we should tune into the show to find out.
That's true.
Yeah, look, we're in it's new. There's 35 million people in the country. I don't know how big it can be, and how much. But if you start selling product into a part of the world and they've got a reasonably good climate, they're going to grow their own, right? I'm just saying. It looks to me like the growth has not been what everyone thought it was going to be so far.
So far.
But let's see what happens when edibles and
More products.
yeah.
Geography is going to open up new markets. I think the States is going to be a big opportunity if they let us in.
I'd really like to see that level there breached on big volume. Okay, just to right from that move there, which is close to 30, to that move, which was 38. That just happened last week.
So if it rallies back,
It gets through
breaks-
$38, and I think
breaks out of that box
yeah.
into a new level.
Let's take a look
We'll
at.
keep an eye on it.
Let's take a look at Kronos, which is you've done a big deal with American.
Who'd they do a big
I
deal
think
with?
the big tobacco company,
Oh, yeah.
which looks like, and that tobacco company, I believe, and I hope I get this right. If I said it wrong, please somebody text in or
Someone will correct you.
someone will correct me. But that company that they're in sort of in bed with, the tobacco company, I think they made a major investment in
Is it
that.
Atria?
Altria.
Altria.
The tobacco company, made a major investment in vaping, Juul. And that's, hey, there's been some more bad press on Juul.
Well,
Or bad press on vaping.
tobacco industry has spent a ton of time,
Right.
lobbying, and if there's anyone you want to be partners with, is probably big tobacco.
Yeah, that's good because, obviously they've done such a great thing for humanity. No, I say that, but isn't it a crazy world?
Yeah.
They'd raise the tax. Hey, it's not good for you. Let's raise the
Well,
taxes.
I was watching an interview with a guy, forget his name, but he was from a big tobacco company, and man, was he polished,
Oh.
He was interview ready and just
He knew exactly what.
yeah.
You couldn't
He
stop
had
him.
all his sound bites and
Facts, just the facts.
yeah. So it's definitely someone you want to have on your team, I think. When it's a wild west.
You know what? There's probably a lot of things going on that, humanity will look at in a few months and say, like corn-fed. You ever notice they used to talk about corn-fed beef?
Corn-fed beef, yeah.
Like that was the beef you wanted to eat, corn-fed beef. Then it turns out cows really can't ingest corn. So now it's all about grass-fed beef back again. Like that's what they used
They
to
even
eat.
have grass-fed butter. What's that?
No,
How do you feed grass to butter?
grass-fed butter,
I think
right?
someone was smoking something there.
That's hilarious. Hey,
And let's take a look at the interview with Sonny Newman.
okay.
Welcome back. My guest today on the show is Sonny Newman, CEO of C21 Investments. Welcome, Sonny.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this conversation. For those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit more about your company?
Well, C21, we are obviously a publicly traded cannabis company. Currently, we are in two markets, in the Nevada and also the Oregon market. We are vertically integrated in both states. We have dispensaries in both states. We have grow facilities in both, as well as production facilities.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your brands? I know that you've got 5 of them, right?
We do. We've, in our Oregon market, we've got our Swell products, the Hood Oil and Phantom. We have both flower, cartridges. We're doing a lot of processing of oils in both states as well. In Nevada, we have an indoor grow facility and a production license, and we're currently doing extraction and vape cartridges in Nevada and Oregon as well.
Great. I'm looking at some news here. Can you talk about your Q2 revenues? Looks like you guys had a good quarter.
We did. We had about a 28% increase over the previous quarter in overall. Nevada was 17% of that increase. And our net loss was a little lower than the previous quarter, so we're tracking in the right direction.
I wanted to know a little bit more what you think contributes to this growth we're seeing in Q2.
Well, as you know, the Swell company, we just finalized bringing them on in May of 2019. So we just had, just getting started with their brands and doing the wholesale market on their brands. Also, we're integrating, and we have been integrating our products into our Oregon dispensary, which we're seeing nice increases. We had a 15% increase in sales last month alone in our Oregon dispensary. We also, in Nevada, we're, every month, our 2 dispensaries there are increasing in sales. So, yeah, just overall, we're having good growth.
Excellent. And what would you like investors to know? What are you looking forward to in the months to come? I know you made an acquisition recently. How's that shaping up?
Well, that acquisition that we had was Swell, and what we've really been focusing on is consolidating our Oregon operations.
Okay.
We brought 5 companies together, 3 outdoor farms under the Phantom brand, the Phantom indoor facility, our Pure Green dispensary, the Swell products, and we're consolidating, and Echo Firma Farms as well. We are consolidating all of those together, so it's been quite challenging, and we've had a great success at consolidating those operations over the last 10 weeks.
With the challenges with vaping, what do you see happening in the maybe near to next few months future for that area?
It's been 26% of our cartridge sales, are about 26% of our revenue.
Right.
There's only been about a dozen deaths, I think, related to this. There's 130 people a day that die of opiates. There, 88,000 people a year die from some sort of alcoholism. And so I think, yes, if you overdo anything, you're going to have problems. And so, my overall view on this is we have much bigger problems, and, but it does need to be regulated at a higher level.
Fair enough. What do you see as C21's big growth opportunities?
Well, our wholesale market in Nevada is a great opportunity there. The market is very robust, strong. Oregon is coming along and shaping up. We're actually seeing a little bit of uptick in pricing in Oregon. So we're very optimistic about our 2 markets that we're in. I feel that there's also going to be a lot of opportunities that are going to be coming up with us to be able to take our model into additional stores in Nevada and also in other states. Over the last 3 months, we have focused on, about 3 months, focused on getting our structure in place, getting our expenses under control, cleaning up our balance sheet. We've, been quite successful at that.
I wanted to talk a little bit about global opportunities for growth. Is C21 looking at those markets? Or which markets?
We've actually been approached by a couple of different groups to partner up with them in the global space. We actually got a proposal just last night that we're going to be looking at. Right now, I want to just get our company in order where we stand so that we're not bleeding any longer. But, there's money out there that people want to invest in, and especially overseas, that we're gonna look at all the opportunities that come across our table.
And as far as low-hanging fruit, are there particular countries you have your eye on?
It's pretty much Europe is
Okay.
the space that we would consider at this point.
And before we wrap up, is there something you'd like to leave investors with? Any thoughts?
Well, the big, as I read, the big white elephant is that the company owes me a tremendous amount of money, and everybody is concerned about how I'm going to play that out with myself. When I took over the CEO role, I had no idea really the details of where the money was going and how it was being spent. And so when I restructured the note that I had in place, I put it out there. I knew that the Nevada operations would be enough to fund the interest and the payment that was going to be coming to me over the next 5 months. So I was very comfortable with that. I figured that would give me enough time to get to the bottom of the finances of the company. And with that, things have progressed along quite well. The balance of the note is negotiable, and I am going to be flexible. I have a lot of friends and family and team members that are vested into this company. And, I'm not going to leave anybody hanging out there. But the most important thing to me, and I'm not your typical cannabis guy, so the most important thing to me was to run this company like it's a private company for profit. And we are well on our way there. And, somewhere around January 1st, we should achieve that goal. So I think, where the stock sits right now, with the enterprise value at about 2 times revenue, we're in a great spot compared to most of the other companies in our space. Many of them are trading at 20 times revenue. It's the big guys, some of the medium guys, and they're hemorrhaging a large amount of cash every quarter, and we are not. So I'm very optimistic about the future of C21.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for your time, Sonny. Really appreciate you having you on the show, and looking forward to doing this again soon. Sonny Newman with C21 Investments. What'd you think?
You know what? As I've tried to impress upon the viewers, I'm a chart. Well, I like to think of myself as a chart guy.
You're a chart guy.
And
you walk and talk like a chart guy. You're a chart guy.
You know what? I don't know how to, take all the information that's thrown at me. So I look at the price action, and that to me is how it's translated. So I look at the chart of this company, and it was certainly, it was up in value back when the group was much stronger, and since then it's gradually gone from the top left of the chart to the bottom, not necessarily to the bottom right, but there's definitely a downward bias here.
And he's a new CEO.
Yeah.
He just took over there.
Good.
A few months back, so.
Well, they you know what? I mean, everybody's looking at report cards now, which are the quarterly results. They want to see. They want to see.
It's getting serious.
Well, if more money's going out the door, and again, I'm not looking at this one specifically, but if you own a marijuana company and they're spending more money than what's coming in, like on a cash flow, in versus out, eventually they got to raise more money. If they raise more money, your ownership gets diluted. Now, if you're one of those companies where you don't need to raise money, it looks, blue sky.
Yeah.
Blue skies shining on me. Okay.
I don't know that one.
It's a little after your time, a little before your time.
Okay. We've got some time.
Okay.
Want to look at Halo, Village Farms, and Aurora.
I want to look at Halo because Halo put in a candle last week, and on a day when it traded crazy volume, over 4 million shares. We're going to get this up here in a minute.
4 million shares. That's a lot of volume.
Well,
A lot of volume for Halo, I think, right?
we're gonna get, here we go.
So it's Halo is a sponsor of the show. So if you haven't checked it out, halocana.ca. .ca? I think it's .ca. Let me just check that out.
So here we are at, wow, look at this. 36.5 cents today, up 5.5 cents. The best performer on our heat map.
Yeah.
The best performer. And 3 days ago, when I was sitting here with James, just a minute, and I noted on this date right here where they had that sort of, it's not exactly a doji, but the body's maybe a bit too wide.
Close to a doji.
Close to a doji, lots of indecision, big wick, big tail. Look at the volume. Biggest volume in 6 months, maybe longer than that, but this chart's only 6 months. And look, it was 28 cents that day. Today, 36.5. What more can I tell you? We talked about it, and they got lots of things going on. So there's one that's really acting well.
So it's .com, halocana.com.
HaloCan?
Halocana.
Yeah, there's just so many little tricks and little things you got to remember.
Yeah.
Just,
Lots to remember.
lots to remember, so you better have a sharp mind.
Okay, so that's Halo.
Okay, guess what I just did?
Broke your computer?
I just X'd out of QuoteStream. So, for the next...
Now we just sit and look at each other?
That's not going to last
So
long.
Village Farms.
Village Farms. If can they see your computer?
You can see my computer. I don't have... Here, I'm going to pull up MidasLetter.com, and then we'll
Okay.
be able to take a look at it.
Perfect. Yeah, I can do the same. I can see from miles.
I'll race you there.
Yeah.
How's that?
And under what end?
VFF.
VFF. Yeah, it's easy for you to say.
Is QuoteStream still opening, or what are you...
I you know what? No, cancel. Oh man, skip update. So
Yeah, here, I'll...
the
take a
Midas
look.
Letter small cap index is down 2.7%. The big index is flat. Where is it? Under what index is Village Farms?
That's a good question.
That's the way I would find it. Okay, I'm back. You know what? Let's forget about that. So, you know what? I hope everybody went to the refrigerator and got themselves a beer, kick back, because now we're getting into...
I know that's what you'll be doing in a few minutes.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't, I don't know.
maybe. Oh, man. Okay.
So we've got Village Farms on the screen there in the bottom right corner.
Here we go.
You
okay.
got it?
There we go.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, 6-month chart, Village Farms. It's basing. It seems to be basing. We got pretty flat range here, which is pretty good for anything in this sector, because most things, like we saw Canopy down a third
Right.
in 3 months, right? This is 6 months, and this is flat. So they're obviously, people are prepared to stay in a bit of a saw-off between the bulls and the bears, and they're gonna look at this. Any clue that cash flow is accelerating, stock should trade like a rocket ship.
Okay, do you want to just switch over to Aurora,
Yeah,
and then we'll wrap up?
All right. Let's do that.
You got your clicker there working?
Got my clicker. Everybody should have a clicker. And I was in grade school. I went to a Catholic school, and there were nuns, and they used to have these little clappers, right?
Oh yeah,
Clap, clap,
like
clap,
the
clap,
Spanish
clap, clap,
dancers.
clap, clap. Yeah, I sort of when I was older and I was allowed to go to bars and places where women dance, I always looked for the clocker.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Aurora 673. This one's not so. When I get this, top left, bottom right. We get sort of narrow bands. So this is fairly well ensconced in a bit of a downward trend to mirror the sentiments of the industry.
So what would you be looking for? Big volume day, maybe a doji?
You know what? I'd like to see some of those things happen, but they sort of should happen as a group. Mm-hmm. Or if it had just happened with one company, yeah, pay attention because maybe there's something specific going on. Maybe someone's going to buy them out.
Well, we'll keep watching it.
We'll keep watching.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Ed. This was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And to all of our viewers, really appreciate you watching. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the show.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about some FANG stocks tomorrow.
FANG stocks.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, have a great night.